Hello, 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 world. This is Louise Hicks, your host of Aim to Purpose Spiritual Empowerment Hour. How is everybody today? Well, I am coming to you today to talk about what Dr. Umar said about Steve Harvey and Rickey Smiley. I tell you, he was fired up, meaning Dr. Umar, and he had every reason to be because Dr. Umar is always, and I say always, and I mean always standing up for the Black community in a very positive way. And I agree with him majority of the time. And again, I am Louise Hicks, the host of Aim to Purpose Spiritual Empowerment Hour. Please subscribe, share, share. Leave your comments, give it a like, give it a thumbs up, and let's build this channel up because we want to get the word out. And I am this mad Black woman, mad baby boomer Black woman who is 73 years of age. And I speak up and I speak out because I've seen a lot, I've gone through a lot, and what Dr. Umar speaks, he speaks truth about what's going on. And from what he says and what I heard Steve Harvey and Rickey Smiley say, I tell you, it's like those two men, when it comes to us as Black people, are from a different planet, planet celebrity. Because planet celebrity, I really do not listen to. And Steve Harvey is a baby boomer like myself, but he's a different breed because he's a comedian. And oftentimes, when you listen to comedians, they are a joke. That's what they're all about. And Rickey Smiley, the same. It's like they were cut from the same cloth. However, Dr. Umar is on fire, fed up with them, and he respectfully gives both of them a lesson on Blackness and Black people. And I am so happy that he did it. And I stand with him 100. And when I say 100, maybe I stand with him 200 or 300, 1,000, because he's on point. And I want you to listen to what he has to say. Dr. Umar is on point when it comes to Steve Harvey and Rickey Smiley talking about Kamalaharris and what we should do. And I'm so sick and tired of being sick and tired of celebrities thinking that they can tell the Black community at large how we should think. And let me tell you something, Steve Harvey and Rickey Smiley and DL Hughley, because he's mentioned also in this video I'm about to share with you. You are not our leaders. So stay in your comedy lane because that's where you belong. And I don't give a hoot about your money, that you have money, because we know how you got that money, obviously based on being a puppet. Yes, I said it. I said what I meant and I meant what I said because as I said, I am a baby boomer too. And to hear some of you baby boomers out here calling yourselves leaders and talking a bunch of what my grandmother called food talk, I can see why I don't relate to you. I don't relate to many baby boomers. And that's why, because many of you are still enslaved. And I don't care how much money you have. If you're enslaved, you're enslaved. You're in the slave cage. So let me allow you all to listen to this nonsense that Steve Harvey and Rickey Smiley are peddling And Dr. Umar calls them out perfectly. So let's take a listen here. And then I will comment very little because Dr. Umar says it all pretty. He says it. He gives it straight. So let's listen to what he has to say here.
Rickey Smiley and Steve Harvey. Rickey Smiley and Steve Harvey. Rickey Smiley and Steve Harvey, listen. If Uncle Steve Harvey and Uncle Rickey Smiley want to go hard for Kamalaharris, that is their business. If Rickey Smiley and Steve Harvey want to go hard for Kamalaharris, they have a right to do that. They have a right to do that. What they don't have a right to do is shame other Africans into voting for her. They cannot do that. They were wrong for that. You can't shame people into not voting for someone who has no record of doing nothing for them. Now that's where they're wrong. That's where they're wrong. You know, Steve Harvey's logic didn't make any sense. He said, if we don't vote, we won't get nothing. Well, you've been voting and you ain't got nothing. It's time to hold the vote until we get something. It's time to hold the vote until we get something. Rickey Smiley, I love my brother, but he was pretty emotional. He's talking about Supreme Court Justice Ketanji swearing in Vice President Harris. They both belong to Black Greek fraternities. They'll get sworn in on Dr. King's Earth Day. That's all empty symbolism. We're done with that. That's all empty symbolism. We're done with that. That's all empty symbolism. We're done with that. You have to give us tangibles, not symbols, Brother Rickey Smiley. Tangibles, not symbols. One is an AKA, one is a Delta. What that got to do with miseducation? One is an AKA, one is a Delta. What that got to do with mass incarceration? One is an AKA, one is a Delta. What that got to do with gentrification and homelessness? That is nothing but empty symbolism. The member of one Black sorority swearing in the member of another Black sorority on the solar return of a brother ancestor, Dr. King, who belonged to a Black male fraternity. That's all fine and well. But telling Black people they should vote for the symbol, telling Black people they should vote for the symbol is not going to serve us, Brother Rickey. We need substance, my brother. We need substance. Medgar Evers did not die for Kamala Harris to become president. Stop the cap up. Dr. King did not die for Kamala Harris to become president. Stop the cap up. The purpose behind Fannie Lou Hamer's Voting Rights Act, the purpose behind the Fannie Lou Hamer Voting Rights Act was for Black people to be in a position to use their vote so they could receive tangibles. Voting is not supposed to be a symbol. Voting is supposed to be a transaction, a power transaction. You want my vote? We want your resources. You want my vote? We want the resources. Voting is not supposed to be a ritual. It is not supposed to be a symbol. It is supposed to be a transaction. You want my vote? We want some tangibles. If we can't get no tangibles, you can't get no vote. Steve Harvey said, they can't give us no reparations. What'd he say? We're not going to get no reparations if we don't vote. You've been voting Democrat for 93 years, Steve Harvey. Been voting Democrat for 93 years, Steve Harvey. Been voting Democrat for 93 years, Steve Harvey. How many more years you got to vote Democrat to get some reparations? The problem with you Black celebrities, the problem with you Black celebrities, you are the new Black bourgeoisie. You are the new Black bourgeoisie. And you are going out of your way to stay relevant with the white power structure by trying to shame black people into voting for people who don't do anything with them. That ended with Barack Obama. That ended with Barack Obama, the new generation of American Africans. These under 30s today, they not like the under 30s of Barack Obama 16 years ago. See, 16 years ago, the 30-year-olds of today were 15. 16 years ago, the 30-year-olds of today were 14. They were babies under Obama. They were babies under Obama. But you fail to realize they grew up on Dr. Umar Ifatunde doctrine. These 30-year-olds, they grew up on my messages. They grew up on me. So you can't seduce them with emotions. You can't.
Hold on just a second. Let me interject just a little bit because he is on fire. Dr. Umar is on fire. He is telling the truth, 100%. Like I said, I've been around for 73 years, and I know what the baby boomers doing. Many of them were blindsided, sidetracked into drugs that were intentionally, by design, brought into our communities. I did not partake of any of that. I got out of the demo rats. Yes, I'm calling them rats. I got out of that party when I was in my 30s. So I'm speaking from experience. I'm not speaking from hearsay. I know what happened because I was in it. I'm a baby boomer. And to hear these celebrities like Steve Harvey, Smiley, Hughley, and all the rest of them running around here trying to tell us, oh, and don't let me mention Clyburn with his old, he may be a silent generation, and he needs to stay silent. So I am so happy to see the wake up of these young Gen Xers, millennials, and Zs, and hope the alphas will come after them. Because who's going to listen to somebody like Steve Harvey? Like I said, you stay in your comedy lane because that's all it's good for. Because what you're talking about is not going to help uplift and build the Black community. What you're saying, getting the same results over and over and over. So you tell them, Dr. Umar, give them a lesson. They need a good lesson. Who do you think you are out here talking this food talk to? Steve Harvey, D.L. Hughley, and Rickey Smiley, and all the rest of you celebrities. Because you know what? These young people have common sense, they have discernment, and they're not listening to you. And that's a good thing. Because if they listen to you, they're going to be stuck. SOS, stuck on stupid, just like you guys are, just like the rappers who were out here peddling, killing up one another, using drugs that were by design put in the Black community to keep you SOS, stuck on stupid, talking about Black women like we are inhuman, treating us like we are slaves, the ones of you who are doing that. And guess who's having you to peddle that? Jewish producers like Leo Cohen and the others. But you better not mention their women. So let's continue because I'm fired up too. I'm so happy to see the ones out here like Dr. Umar speaking truth, while you old behind baby boomers that are like Steve Harvey, Rickey Smiley, D.L. Hughley, you guys need to go somewhere and sit down and shut up. Yes, and I said it and I meant what I said and said what I meant. So let's continue to listen to Dr. Umar, who is talking good sense, not food talk.
can't seduce them with intellectualism. You can't seduce them with symbols and empty promises. They grew up under the prince of Pan-Africanism. They've been watching me and listening to me for 15 years. You can't get over on them like you got over on their parents. You can't get them to the polls on November the 4th with no damn a Delta swearing in an AKA on an Alpha's birthday. That don't mean nothing to us. We respect Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated. I love my Delta Queens. We respect Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated. I love my Alpha Queens. We Alpha Phi Alpha Sorority. I love my Alpha brothers, but that ain't got nothing to do with this. This is not sorority business. This is American African business. I said this is not sorority business. This is American African business. And if Kamala Harris, Donald Trump, Jill Stein, Cornel West, if they can't take care of African business, the American African business, don't come to me. Black vote ain't for sale no more. Black vote ain't for sale. We bartering on business. We standing on business. Bring us some tangibles or get out of my face. Rickey Smiley, I love you. But crying on the radio for Kamala Harris, my brother, that's an all-time low. Don't do that again, Rickey Smiley. Don't you get on your radio show and cry for Kamala. Don't you do that, my brother. If you want to cry for Kamalaharris, if you want to cry for Kamalaharris, you do that in the privacy of your house. But if we're going to be honest, Steve Harvey and Rickey Smiley, and I love you both, no hate to my big brothers, but if we're going to be honest, Rickey Smiley and Steve Harvey, y'all only carried on because y'all got paid to carry on. Can we please be honest? Can we see? I want y'all to understand, overstand, and understand what King Kong is talking about. Y'all carried on because y'all got paid to carry on. Kamala Harris and the Democratic plantation is paying you celebrities, paying you to shame black people into voting. Y'all know we not going to get nothing out of that vote. Y'all know we not going to get nothing out of that vote. Y'all know we not going to get nothing out of the vote. But they being paid, y'all being bought. They offered me $10K for an interview with Kamala Harris. I don't want your money, but we can definitely do the interview. They offered me $10K for an interview with Kamala Harris. Yes, we can do the interview. Keep your damn money. King Kong consciousness ain't for sale. I'm one of the real ones. Silverback Garvey Gorilla. I'm one of the real ones. Silverback Garvey Gorilla. Don't come to me with no propositions for money. I don't live for no money. I'm not one of these goofy ass rappers whose whole life is nothing but what you can buy and own. You dealing with real African DNA. This is real ancestral energy over here. I'm not no Rickey Smiley and Steve Harvey. You don't drop no check off and say get the Negroes to the plantation on November the 4th. You don't drop no check off and say get the Negroes to the plantation. Oh, yes, brothers and sisters. Costa Rica, y'all better be ready tomorrow night. Limon province, where Marcus Garvey used to live, where Marcus Garvey used to work, where Marcus Garvey edited his newspaper, La Nacion, Costa Rica, Limon province. King Kong is coming in the footsteps of Garvey. All Central American Africans, get your ass to Limon province tomorrow. We're going to organize. We're going to organize my Spanish-speaking African brothers and sisters. I said, we're going to organize my Spanish-speaking African brothers and sisters. Limon, in the footsteps of Garvey. Puerto Viejo, Saturday, in the footsteps of Garvey. Come on, Rickey Smiley and Steve Harvey. Rickey Smiley. Let me come on the Rickey Smiley show. Let's talk about election 2024. Let me come on the Steve Harvey show. Talk to me, Steve. How much did they pay you to push Kamala? The price is right. Steve Harvey, was the price right, my brother? Was the price is right? When the price is right, the Negropeans will unite. When the price is right, the Negropeans will unite. When the price is right, the Negropeans will unite. about Medgar Evers died for Kamala Harris to be president. No more empty elections. You got to earn them. Yes, sir. All right, brother. Good to see you, King.
And he is telling so much truth because Marcus Garvey fought for us, our people. And guess what happened? They shipped him out of America to Jamaica because they did not want him to get Black people on code. And Fannie Lou Hamer threw her in jail. Watch the documentary if you get an opportunity to. The Fannie Lou Hamer story. An amazing story that tells you what they did to Fannie Lou because she wanted to get our party, and that's what we need. We need our own party. Vital.
Tangibles over tokenism. We want tangibles over tokenism. We want tangibles over radio talk. We want tangibles over television talk. We want tangibles over tokens. Tangibles over television. Tangibles over no. These 30-year-olds grew up on me. You can't con them the way you con their parents. These 30-year-olds grew up on me. You can't con them the way you con their parents. The Ifa Tunde Army. The Ifa Tunde Army. I think I'm gonna hold an under 30-year-old march. We're gonna have a march. My under 30-year-olds, y'all ready for the march for tangibles?
And he is right. Tangibles, all these symbolisms. We don't need that. That is not economically empowering us. It's about power. And that's what we got to start realizing. And stop listening to these celebrities because they are benefiting themselves. They have money and maybe they are getting paid. I don't know. But if they are, why would you listen
All
to
right, King.
So speak on, Dr. Umar, speak.
We need tangibles, no more talking. I can't wait to see who they roll out for the Democratic National Convention. I can't wait to see who they roll out for the Democratic National Convention on Monday. I can't wait to see who they roll out in Chicago. We didn't see Megan Thee Stallion. We didn't see my brother Quavo. We didn't see Rickey Smiley crying on the radio, Steve Harvey, with his old strategies for voting. Who they going to have speaking for us at the Democratic National Convention? Who's it going to be? LeBron James, Oprah Winfrey? Who they going to pull out of a hat at the Democratic National Convention next week? Who they going to pull out of their hat next week, family? Who y'all think they're going to get? I hope my sister Beyonce don't show up for them. Who they going to get at the Democratic National Convention? Who y'all think they got in the pipeline? See, they forgot. These young people grew up on Dr. Umar Ifa Tunde.
I'm glad they did.
Costa Rica, I'm on my way. Central America, I'm on my way. tomorrow, Limon Province, Costa Rica, 4 p.m. American Africans, feel free to pull up. Caribbean Africans, feel free to pull up.
Speak, speak, speak. We need to hear that for our young generations to come. Because if not, we're going to be a lost people. And Dr. Umar, thank you for giving a lesson to Harvey and Smiley, because they need to learn.
Somebody said Kamala Harris don't even have a. Somebody said Kamala Harris don't even have no political positions on her website. They said Kamala Harris don't even have any political positions on the website.
Right?
They said Kamala Harris don't even list what she stands for on the website. They said black folks is so brainwashed into identity politics. They said black folks are so brainwashed into identity politics. They said black folks are so brainwashed into identity politics. You don't need to tell them what you're going to do for them, because we never do nothing for them. Just tell them you're black and they should vote. Just tell them you're black and they should vote. You don't even have to give black people a platform. Just be black. Just be black.
Speak truth.
Those emotional, religious Negroes, they don't know their left hand from their right hand. Just tell them you're black and vote for me.
Because they're so heavenly bound, they're no earthly good. Speak the truth. These young people need to hear that so they don't be lost into all these drugs and killing one another. There's too much of that going on. We need more of this, more conversations like this.
I think D.L. Hughley, wasn't D.L. Hughley on that same Steve Harvey, Rickey Smiley stuff? Well, they said D.L. Hughley, I think they said D.L. Hughley was trying to hold her accountable at first, and then his fraternity had to put him in check. Is that true, brothers and sisters? Somebody said D.L. Hughley tried to hold Kamala Harris accountable, and then his black Greek fraternity chin-checked him.
Must be true. He was
They said
apologizing.
D.L. Hughley tried to stand tall, but then the black Greek fraternity bourgeoisie had to put him in his place.
Second-class citizen. Okay. Let's stop right here, because I wanted to share this with my supporters. Again, I'm Louise Hicks, the mad black woman, the mad black baby boomer woman. And that's for motivated and determined to support and help our people to a higher level of consciousness, because we are brilliant, melanated black people. We have a brain. Steve Harvey, Rickey Smiley, D.L. Hughley. These young people have a brain of their own. Clyburn, you too, that goes for you too. So who are you to sit and tell people whether they should go and vote for Kamala or Donald Trump? Because I'm with the young people that are exercising their own critical thinking skills. If we don't get tangibles, what are you voting for when you continue to get the same results over and over and over? That is insanity. It's insanity. Because if you were getting some results, we wouldn't be having all these conversations now, all of this infighting. And we should be talking about policies, implementation strategies, and asking the right questions. And I'm amazed at these journalists out here, particularly one that has a lot of presence, like Roland Martin, who has a lot of presence. And he calls out Nikki Haley and Tim Scott for saying America is not a racist country, but he doesn't call out Kamala Harris, who said the same thing. America is not a racist country. So it appears these people are getting paid to pander for the Democratic Party. And like I said, I got out of the Democratic Party when I was in my 30s, and I'm 73, because I saw the handwriting on the wall. And let me share this picture with you here. Give me a moment here. I'm going to share this with you, because I want you to see what Kamala Harris had to say. Here she is saying, I'm not going to sit here and say I'm going to do something that's only going to benefit Black people. No. And she said it like this. Well, I'm not going to sit here. Let's be clear. Let's be clear. I'm not going to sit here and say I'm going to do something just that's only going to benefit Black people. No, those are Kamala Harris's words. She has already told us what she thinks about us. And Joe Biden, if you don't vote for me, you ain't Black. That's an insult on both of their parties, and they are our current administration. And here she is now out here, got Megan the horse, the stallion, which is a male horse, out here shaking her behind, throwing that in our face. What an insult. And a lot of us are just letting it go right along. And I know a lot of you young Gen Xers, millennials, and Z's, you talk about us baby boomers, but I tell you, all Black baby boomers are not enslaved. We're not suffering from post-traumatic slave syndrome, PTSS. Some of us aren't. Now, you probably are right about most baby boomers, because most baby boomers, I believe, from my perspective, are still suffering from that generational trauma, the Willie Lynch syndrome, post-traumatic slave syndrome, because of their behavior. And I didn't raise my children to go out and run out and just vote to be voting. And my parents didn't raise me to run out and be just voting to be voting. However, we do know that Black people have been Democrats for years and years and years, decades and decades. However, it's time for us to ask for tangibles, because as Dr. Umar said, tangibles over tokenism, tangibles over tokens, because it appears that Steve Harvey, Rickey Smiley, D.L. Hughley, I'll throw Van Jones in there too, because he panders for the Democrats. Joy Reid, MSNBC, they're worse than CNN. And we know that Fox caters to the Republican. But I'm not catering and I'm not pandering for either party unless I can see an agenda and some type of implementation strategies to empower our Black community. And what Steve Harvey has said, that is definitely food talk. I guess he must have thought he was at one of his comedy shows making a joke, because this is not a joke, Steve Harvey, and it's not a game. As you said, you got to play the game. I listened to your little spiel with Kamala Harris. This is not a game. This is serious, because Black people have been disenfranchised for too many years. And I'm speaking from firsthand knowledge of it. The mass incarceration, the school system that's totally broken, the mental health system that's broken. It's a disgrace. Kamala Harris, I lived in California over 50 years, and I still own property there. And it's a shame that she sits up and talk all of this talk, and she does more laughing than anything, as if she thinks we are a joke. And I'm so sick and tired of seeing her acting like and laughing like a hyena. Everything is funny. And Black people, all of us should be fed up. And you baby boomers, you need to support these young people because you have grandchildren that's coming along. If you have any children that's going to produce, you're going to have great grandchildren, great. We have generations coming. And we need to stand with these young people that are out here speaking the truth. Let the truth be told. Because if you're listening to people like Steve Harvey, Rickey Smiley, and D.L. Hughley, they're going to be laughing all the way to the bank, and you're going to be living in poverty. So stop listening to these people that do not care about you. Kamala Harris has already spoken, and unless she changes her tune on what she said, well, let's be clear. I'm not going to sit here and say I'm going to do something that's only going to benefit Black people. No. Well, Kamala Harris, let's be clear. I'm not going to vote for you unless you have a commitment specifically to Black people and some type of implementation strategy. Otherwise, I'm not going to sit here and say I'm going to vote for you. And Donald Trump, the same goes for you. I'm not going to sit here and say I'm going to vote for you unless you have some tangibles and an implementation strategy that will empower the Black community. Because no one in this country except Black people have gone through chattel slavery. There is a debt that's owed to the heirs of slavery. And for Steve Harvey to sit there and say, you vote first and you get something later, I'm with Dr. Umar. Black people have been voting for Democrats for decades. And where are we now? We're still at the bottom of the economic spectrum. We're at the bottom. And we've been here longer than anybody. And nobody has gone through chattel slavery in this country but Black folks that are descendants of Africans that were brought to this country, and they didn't volunteer to come here. And someone had made a statement about we need to be asking, it was on one of my chats. And let me, if they're listening and they're going to go and watch some more of my chats. They made a statement about we need to be asking for reparations from Africa because they sold Africans into slavery. Well, let me respond to that. If you go to the grocery store and you see all these commodities on the shelf, you have a choice. You can buy whatever you want to buy that your money will allow you to buy. No one is going to put a gun to your head and say, oh, you have to buy this, you have to buy that, you have to buy that. So your logic is just stupid. SOS, stuck on stupid. And that means to me you are sad as well. And that's stuck and drowning. So young people, Dr. Umar and all the others out here, kudos to you for standing up for the truth and speaking the truth. And Fannie Lou Hamer would be proud. Marcus Garvey would be proud. Dr. Martin Luther King would be proud. Malcolm X would be proud. Dr. Claude would be proud because he wrote the book, Black Labor, White Wealth, Powernomics, the Black History Reader. And he's still here with us, still doing whatever he can to empower us as a Black community. So to you, Steve Harvey, And Rickey Smiley, you've had an education from Dr. Umar, and he did an exceptional job of educating you because you need to stop living in fear. Because for you, either living, apparently, it appears now that you're getting paid to say all this stuff. But who's listening? People that are perishing for lack of knowledge, but they are getting the knowledge because of people like Dr. Umar. So for you celebrities like these, you need to go somewhere and pay attention to a real education because you just got one. And again, I'm Louise Hicks, your host of this podcast, Aim to Purpose Spiritual Empowerment Hour. Please subscribe. And thank you all who have been subscribing to my channel. Thumbs up, give it a like because that helps to move the content on to others. And by all means, share, share, and share because these are the kinds of content as Black people that we should be listening to because the celebrities got theirs and that's their thinking process. Oh, I got mine, so let me go out here and throw some stuff to these Black people because they're going to keep voting for you, Kamala, or the ones that are on Trump. They're going to keep voting for you, but at least I'm hearing an agenda from Trump's side. From what I'm hearing, he has some agendas, something on his website. However, I have not heard him say anything about what he's going to do to empower Black people, tangibles. So we need tangibles over tokenism and tokens. We don't need these tokens out here that appear to be getting paid. And I'm not saying they are, I said appear to be, and that's my perspective. So with that said, again, we need to have some tangibles and some focus on education. The system is broken. Incarceration, the injustice system. We need some to hear something about all of that. And until we do, I will not be voting for either. And I don't care what anybody says because Black people, you got the same results and you keep voting Democrats. With that said, always remember that your power lies within you and you need to let it loose. And I'm going to leave you with this scripture that I talk about all the time. That's 2 Timothy 1:7. For God has not given us the spirit of fear, but of power, love, and a sound mind. And you notice that power comes first. Because if you have no power, how are you going to express that love? So you got to get yourself out of fear because it sounds like to me that these men, again, appear to be paid, or either they're living in fear, even though they have money. Doesn't matter because we need power, economic empowerment, so that we can grow spiritually, mentally, emotionally, socially, intellectually, physically. We must have economic empowerment. And with that said, again, thank you, Dr. Umar, for this education, to Steve Harvey, Rickey Smiley, and yes, D.L. Hughley was definitely pandering for Kamalaharris and apologizing to her for something he said. And I lived in California over 50 years, and I know what she did. She didn't do anything to empower the Black community. And I said it because I was there. And I'm 73 years of age, and I know what happened in California because I lived there and still have residency. They're paying taxes there. So I have a right to speak because they're using my tax dollars in California And what are they doing? And the Congressional Black Caucus, stand up for your Black community. I must say that about you. And again, Louise Hicks here. Thank you all for my new subscribers. Thank you for the support, the love. I appreciate you. Again, please subscribe, share, 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 thumbs up, give it a like, leave your comments. And always remember, your power lies within you. Let it loose because your destiny is your command. And thank you, Dr. Umar. With that said, I'll see you in the next video. Much love.